this gentleman is announcing his retirement.
Yes.
And we were all just jumping in going, oh, my God, I can't believe it. And it went on and on and on.
It felt like a tectonic shift.
It did. And but the news is being broken now, and we're going to ease into whatever emotions we may have with this gentleman hanging up.
It's like that joke where they say, when the guy says, your mother died. You can't just tell me the news like that. You got to tell me, your mother was on the roof. And,
Right, yeah. He's into
you have
this
to
a little
parse
bit.
it out a bit.
So he's easing into it, and we're sad to hear the news, but looking forward to seeing him for at least the next year.
Yes.
So let's get him on now. Ladies and gentlemen, over 40 years he's been at this. Please welcome Jim Gardner from the 6ABC's on the show. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, well, you know what? Listen, I'm gonna start with saying congratulations to you because retirement is something that I think should be celebrated. When somebody is ready to go ahead and put the career to rest, it's obviously people are not going to be happy about the fact that you're leaving, but still, I think it should be celebrated.
Well, yes, I absolutely agree, and yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to a different life experience, but I've got another year or another 14 months at Channel 6, and I look forward to every day. So it's a bit of a strange experience because there was, a lot of talk yesterday and a lot of emotions yesterday, but meanwhile, I've got another year and
right,
yeah.
On the 6 o'clock news. So, what is it that we're really talking about?
Is that by design to let us, your viewers, down in an easy way, or is this for yourself?
No, yes, it's a way, that I can sort of transition to, a different situation. To tell you the truth, back in 2009, Dave Roberts retired from Channel 6, and this is how he did it. And, I remember very clearly that he was working on the 6 o'clock news. He was taking the 11 o'clock news off. So when this whole thing came up a year or so ago with our general manager, Bernie Brzezinski, I reverted back to, I call it the Dave Roberts model, and I thought it worked very well for Dave. And I think it worked very well for Channel 6. And it was a sort of an easy or a graceful transition that I think benefited both the station and Dave.
It makes complete sense, and I think obviously the station is going to want to do things. The city, I'm sure, will want to do things in acknowledgement of this. I think this is a perfect way to do it. You were very sweet in your commentary last night, announcing it, and there is something that happens to people who have schedules as have we, that are off the 9 to 5 rail, and and you were saying. You have had certain things in your life, or have not had certain things in your life for 4+ decades that are quite common for a lot of people, and I thought that was a sweet way to frame it. And I was nodding to my wife because she puts up with an askew schedule, and that it was very very sweet the way you phrased everything.
You're very kind. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to that. I'm not complaining that I haven't had it for 47 years, but it is an opportunity for me to experience a more normal rhythm, of life, and
right.
to be able to linger over dinner with my wife, would be something I haven't really experienced in my lifetime. And
God.
It's something I look forward to.
Jim, can I ask how you approached your team members, your 11 o'clock team members, Cecily and Deuces and the like, and did you call everybody together, or did you do an individual meeting with each?
I didn't, although they've known about it for some time.
Okay.
We've had conversation about that, so it was no surprise to them.
Okay.
But I sent a memo to the staff yesterday, shortly before the station announced that there would be this pullback and a year from now a retirement. I wanted to be the one to just let the staff know that this was happening. Not that I felt that it was such a big deal that I was leaving, but there was going to be a substantial change, and I thought that it was appropriate for everybody to hear it from me. And so I wrote this memo, and shortly thereafter, the station made the announcement. And, today we've got news to cover.
That's the way you approach it, yes.
Jim, this is Nick. We've had an opportunity to chat a couple times about travel that you've had over the last few years when you've come down to Camp Out, and thank you for being a part of Camp Out over the last few years. I'm curious as to what's on top of your bucket list once you have retired of where you're going to go. What are you going to see that you haven't been able to get to yet?
That's interesting. My wife and I were just talking about going on a tour of Scandinavia. My son is taking his second semester of his junior year in he's in college, and he's taking his second semester in Copenhagen. So we're going to go to visit him at some point, but it's still going to be chilly there. So I think we're going to put off a tour, until it gets warmer and there is a more leisurely opportunity to really take in that part of the world. So that seems to be number one on our bucket list, and there'll be many more to follow, I believe.
Jim, I was curious if your timing of this, of you finally hanging it up, was so you wouldn't have to go through another election cycle again.
Well, it's funny you say that because this was supposed to end a number of years ago, actually, and there were two extensions. I asked Bernie if it would be all right if I could extend a couple of times, and not the last time, but the time before that was so that I could be here for the last election cycle. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to very much be present during the Trump phenomenon. I just thought it was an extraordinarily compelling political story, and I am something of a politics nerd. And, you can say what you want about your personal feelings or your political preferences, but from a journalistic standpoint, obviously the whole Trump era, and who knows if it's over or not, has been just extraordinarily compelling, and I wanted to take part in that.
Okay.
And then the second extension was, in the formative stages of the pandemic, and I just felt very strongly that I wanted to be here for that story. It was, and continues to be a unique story that really covers every facet of, our human endeavor. It's on one level, it's very personal. On another level, it's very societal. We go from a story of people's fears and anxieties, fears about their own health, and whether they're going to, escape the fate of hundreds of thousands of their countrymen. And on the other hand, it's, an extraordinary public health story. It's a story where people are hoping that this economic crisis doesn't affect them. People have lost their jobs. People have, suffered real economic dislocation. On the other hand, it is an extraordinary economic story on a national and worldwide level. So, there's so many different aspects to it that really touch all of our lives, and I just wanted to be here for that. And, the story continues to unfold.
There's a scene in the great the Patty Chayefsky movie Network where the William Holden is talking about his plans, and he goes he's gonna I'm gonna write a book. He goes, everybody writes a book. But I honestly would say I would love to read a book about your life. Yeah. If you if that's in the works. You talk about being a political junkie. I am as well, and I'd love to get some insight over your many decades dealing with everything as it has progressed.
Well, you may have to wait a while.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Just include a lot of pictures because I'm not very smart.
It's funny. I had a very, very nice email from Bob Iger, who's the former CEO of the Disney company. He's still, I think, chairman of the board, and he was very, very generous with some of the things he said. But I recall talking to him at a Disney dinner in New York, and it was shortly after wrote his book, which was very, very good and very informative, and I really enjoyed writing it. But I had the occasion to say, "Hey, I read your book." he said, "Here's some advice, Jim. Never write a book." he said it was easily one of the most difficult and arduous tasks of my life, and my advice to you would be, don't do it.
Okay.
So,
Well, we don't want to cause undue stress. If it's something that floats your boat later on, yes, so you would definitely. I would definitely purchase a copy. That's all I'm saying. I also want to say, and we were talking about this earlier, is that listen, the same way we have Pierre Robert here at the station, who is an icon in rock radio, and
his 40th year is this month.
And you know, we were saying you are. There is, having lived in different markets, there is none smoother than you and more competent on the air. I mean, you're
the best I've ever seen.
The best we've ever seen.
Yeah,
so,
and he's the standard that I hold everybody else up to. So
right.
Whenever I travel to another city and I'm in that hotel and I turn on the local newscast, I'm like, not Jim Gardner.
Ain't happening.
Nope.
Yeah. So does that create an extra onus and weight on you as you depart, or is it, how do you? Or, I assume you're not walking around with the "I'm number one" T-shirt on and all that stuff. So how do you process all this?
It's. I have always thought that 85-90% of my job takes place in the newsroom, not in the studio, and I've always felt very strongly about that. I think probably there are some people in this business who see it the other way around, where they identify most of their their work and what they're being paid for is the actual newscast.
Yeah.
And that may well be. I've just never identified things that way. I work very closely with producers, and I'm very, very engaged. Some would say too engaged in the evolution of every newscast. And so what happens in the studio is almost like putting a period at the end of a task that to me takes place elsewhere. I have never thought that I was, and I'm not, being falsely humble. I've never thought that I was particularly skilled as an on-air anchor person. I've never spent much time trying to cultivate, a presence, a personality. I just read the news.
Yeah.
And maybe that serves me well. I don't know, but I've often, or most often, thought that my work in the studio was left a lot to be desired, and certainly wasn't as developed as my work in the newsroom. So, if you guys think that I've done a good job in that part of my job, then I'm grateful, but I've never seen it that way.
Right.
Oh, I absolutely, and I think part of what it is, I absolutely think that, but I think it's your delivery and the comfort that you give to your viewers. Whatever, is happening in this world and whatever your, information that you're imparting to us, it's you deliver it in a way that makes us feel comfortable and that it's going to be okay. I mean, at least that's what I experienced when I watched Jim.
I appreciate that. That's terrific, and I'm glad that you feel that way. It's never my intention to make a news story more comforting than it deserves to be. Unfortunately, or whatever, the reality is that we're talking in the news business mostly about difficult subjects.
Yes.
And
yes.
oftentimes, unpleasant stories. And I don't know that it's an anchorman's job to reach out and hold the hand of an audience to make them feel better. But if there's a certain, you know what I think it is, and forgive me, I'm perhaps making conclusions here that I have no right to make. But I think if an anchor person has a sense of empathy, in addition to, being a reasonably smart man or woman and having good writing skills and being ultimately, curious. I think if an anchor person has empathy, that really comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I think I do. I think I'm an empathic person. I think my friends and my family would say I'm an empathic person. So if that comes through, I'm really glad about that. And if it brings some people comfort, that's terrific.
Well, it's not even up for debate. It obviously has all of the things that you might not see, we see, and that's what's made it work for so long. And you talk about something, you're bringing up something. There was a book from an author, Cheryl Atkinson, who used to be a CBS reporter and investigative reporter, and she writes a lot about the news industry. And she's sort of echoing what you said, that the sort of inclination now to make the news giver the news and the star and personality is not what people really want. It might be here's a gimmick, but she recounted a story of, I forget what station she was at, and the lead anchor, his wife had twins, and the news director said, if I hear anything about this on the air, I will go out of my mind. We're not the story. The news is the story. Mm-hmm. And I think your reticence to as you said, not over to be a Pollyanna with the news, but also not to falsely terrify the viewers is what served you so well, and it's why you are so revered in this industry.
I really don't know what to say about that.
I know we're throwing a lot of compliments at you, Jim, but yeah.
Yeah, when you use words like revered and stuff like that, it's, it makes me feel kind of awkward.
I got you.
Well, you're going to have to deal with it.
Don't worry, I'll make you feel even more.
You got
awkward,
a
Jim.
year of it.
Jim, this is Casey here, and so if I can just offer you a little bit of advice over the next year and month or so, if you could just, on a personal level, move closer to the world, my friend, and just take a little bit of time. If you move closer to the world, my friend, you'll see. Do you know what I'm saying?
Let me say one thing, by the way. This is very important. Casey.
Okay.
Yeah.
The man who hired me at Channel 6 said the smartest thing someone can do in this industry who is looking, to get a good start in their profession is to work for a good television station and to work for a successful television station. I have been blessed to have had the opportunity to work for, as far as I'm concerned, the best television station in America, to work with colleagues who are unfailingly devoted to their craft, who have been competent, who have been insistent on being fair, being right, who have really paid so much attention to the little things that become enormously important. They have made me much better, seem much better than I am over the years. I have been the luckiest guy in this industry. People, focus on the man or woman who is sitting at the anchor desk reading the news, and the fact is that our most important job is to represent the hundreds of people whose work and toil and devotion go into every newscast. I've had, even right now, my 6 o'clock producer, Jamie Shore, my 11 o'clock producer, Laura Mamarella, our executive producers, Matt Dennis, people like this who the public never gets to know. They're brilliant. They are They're devoted. They are devoted not just to the task, but to the industry and to the constant effort to make Channel 6 not just a good news station, but a good member of this community, a good citizen. And we're very proud of that. And I am not just proud of my work, and I am, but I am proud to have been a member of an effort on the part of hundreds of people over the course of the decades. And I've heard from a lot of these my former colleagues over the last 24 hours. It has been great to touch base with people whom I haven't talked to or had communications with for a number of years, and it just brings to my mind that if a television station is successful, it's because it has had great leadership over the course of time, and it has had people of great character and people of great motivation, in addition to the fact that they're really good at their jobs. And, I've been the beneficiary of all of that. And
I'm sure they would say the same of
the
you.
luckiest guy.
Yeah.
I'm the luckiest guy in this business. I really am. I feel that way, and it's absolutely true.
Well,
We can relate. I mean, I'm sorry to jump
No,
in.
no,
Steve,
absolutely. Go ahead.
But as you were describing that about 6ABC, WPVI, that's how we feel about WMMR. It's
Yes.
the same thing. It's a wonderful environment and a blessing to be able to say that.
You guys would understand
Yeah.
better than anyone else I could be talking to. Absolutely.
You know what, Jim? I'll say this, and I look forward to that in your time after the news desk, where I can finally see you at a Sixers game being ejected for overly razzing the opposing team.
In my younger life, that happened all the time.
Oh, really?
So, Jim, for Camp Out for Hunger 2022, you'll be on the edge of retirement at that point.
yeah.
And you can really do whatever you want. We got the can drop. We'll bring back the chili cannon. We can do a stunt, whatever you want.
His nights will be open.
You'll be
Yeah.
free. So if you a year from now, just put that on your calendar.
Hey, you started in radio a bit, so we're welcoming you back.
Hey, I was the guy who, set fire to my colleague's newscast, while he was reading it on the radio. I'm sure all of you guys have had that experience. And that was the 24-year-old Jim Gardner.
We love that.
Jim, I know that you are a huge Sixers fan. Have you had the opportunity to ring the bell before a game yet?
They asked me to do it last year, and it was much fun. And apparently, this whole situation over the last day or so has prompted them to think that maybe it would be a good idea to do it again.
Hell, I'd put you on the team.
I'm looking forward to it. It was so much fun, and if it happens again this year, that'll be great.
Excellent.
Probably going to be a done deal on that one.
Well, Jim, we hated to hear the news, but we are happy for you, and we're happy the way that you're choosing to do this. So we get a year to spend and mull this over. So I'm sure we'll have another conversation with you down the road a bit as we get closer and reminiscing a little bit more. But we just wanted to say thank you and also say congratulations to you, and we just appreciate you so much. So thanks for coming on this morning.
You guys are great. Thanks for having me, and we'll see you for Camp Out, right?
You got it.
Yes,
Absolutely. Excellent. All right, thank you. Jim Gardner, everyone. There you go. Something else, man.